Hello and welcome to the first video on the Split Screen channel and the first episode of Split Screen Weekly. I'm your host, Ben Johansen, and I am joined today by my co-host and buddy, Kobe Santos. What's up, man? How you doing?
Co-host first, buddy
Co-host first.
second.
No.
Keep it
they're
professional.
both equally emotionally powered, I'll say that.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Kobe. Hi.
Yes. So there's that. We'll give you guys a brief rundown of our channel real quick, what we're going to be doing and, what have you. So Split Screen Weekly, we're just going to be covering a ton of game news, things about developers, things about, new upcoming games and things of that nature. And then we're going to obviously do some playthroughs throughout the channel. Split Screen, of course, just to keep in good faith of the title and what have you. So maybe, what's that Split Screen game? It Takes Two.
It Takes Two.
Exactly.
That's the one.
See?
And we only need to buy one.
You see what I mean?
It's like...
That's buddy mentality. Same game.
Exactly. Our brains are intrinsically linked since birth,
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're also going to be doing some game analyses, some deep dives into some of our favorite games and why they're our favorite games. And of course, Kobe is a bit of a Genshin fanatic. So there's...
Yeah. I kind of forced this man to, put Genshin onto the channel.
Yeah.
I play too much Genshin. It's like the only game I play currently, so I have to express it elsewhere.
Hey, man. Any game love is good love, you know what I'm saying? So...
Oh, this is the best love.
It's the best kind of love. So we're going to have a lot of... Well, not a lot, but we will have Genshin-related videos. In fact, we've already recorded a Genshin-related video aside from this. So
yeah.
There is that. We're ahead of the schedule. But anyway, let's just get right into Split Screen Weekly. Let's get right into the news, as the big gnome would say. So let's just get right into it. So the first news article we have is a bit of a doozy. I will not lie. It's a bit tough. So
this is probably the heaviest story that we have this week.
In fact, it's probably one of the heaviest stories this year, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So this one's coming from Bloomberg Law. Activision Blizzard, the makers of the Diablo series, World of Warcraft, and publisher of Call of Duty Warzone, have been sued over frat boy culture, though I will say frat boy culture is putting it lightly. Not gonna lie.
It's putting it super lightly. This just sounds like straight up harassment, toxic workplace, and yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. So, according to the lawsuit filed by the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, and of course, this article published on Bloomberg Law, there is discrimination between female and male employees in terms and conditions of employment. This includes compensation, assignment, promotion, and termination, with company leadership consistently failing to take steps to prevent said discrimination. Female employees only make up around 20% of Activision's workforce and are allegedly held back from promotions due to the possibility of becoming pregnant. They are criticized for leaving to pick up their children from daycare, and they get kicked out of lactation rooms so male colleagues could use the room for meetings, which is fucking... Bro, come on.
What? I don't understand. Whatever.
Yeah. Female employees are subjected to a pervasive frat boy workplace culture, including something called cube crawls, in which male employees drink copious amounts of alcohol as they crawl their way through various cubicles in the office and often engage in inappropriate behavior toward female employees. The suit also points to a female Activision employee who took her own life while on a company trip with her male supervisor. The employee had been subjected to intense sexual harassment prior to her death, including having nude photos passed around at a company holiday party, the complaint says. Though, according to an Activision Blizzard spokesperson, the DFEH, or the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, includes distorted and, in many cases, false descriptions of Blizzard's past. We have been extremely cooperative with the DFEH throughout their investigation, including providing them with extensive data and ample documentation. But they refuse to inform us of what issues they perceived. They go on to say that the picture the DFEH paints is not the Blizzard workplace of today. Hello, just to give you guys an update on this story, it is currently July 27. The video you are watching was recorded on July 25. So CNN Business posted an article that reads, Activision Blizzard employees signed petition denouncing company's abhorrent response to lawsuit. Pressure on Activision Blizzard is mounting as more than 2,000 current and former employees signed a petition slamming what they see as the video game company's abhorrent and insulting response to a California lawsuit. So the story just keeps on developing further and further. I just hope that that the female employees get the justice that they deserve, and I hope that Activision Blizzard learns from these mistakes. It's unfortunate. It blows my mind how this wasn't addressed sooner, but it is getting addressed now. So there is that. Here's the rest of the video. And let me just say that last statement, that the picture
of today,
exactly.
Of today. I think that they're very key on putting that in there.
Of today.
So they can have, because I'm so sure they know that it was like that before. So this is their way of like skirting around the truth.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, today it's not as toxic as it was. We're not touching tits now, but maybe back in the,
Yeah, like the passage of time does not make this any more excusable. Like it's just simply inexcusable, period, Like, God.
Yeah, and like today could mean today. Today means today, but it doesn't excuse what happened yesterday. Shit could have happened like even months beforehand, and it still wouldn't have excused it. And
Exactly.
it seems like this has been going on behind everybody's eyes, everybody's knowledge, for like the longest time.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they're being accused of is absolutely egregious, and the fact that somebody ended up allegedly taking their own life due to harassment, if they're found guilty and everything, they have to be held accountable for this. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a whole hashtag cancel Blizzard or whatever. And in that case, I think it is justified. I don't know about you, but yeah, I think you were telling me a while ago, you definitely feel apprehensive now to purchase Diablo 2.
Resurrected, yeah, man.
As we were like planning to pick it up for split screen. Shout out. But after hearing this news, is like, do we really want to support a company that harbors this kind of environment for the people that work there?
Yeah, and it's just so tough though, because like the player base that Activision Blizzard has amassed is it's incredible. And yeah, sure, maybe one or two of our purchases probably won't make much of a difference, but at the end of the day, like it's such a big company, and I don't know, like it just does not sit right. And yeah, sure, maybe we're reading a little bit too much into that last statement, but man, this like there's just a lot on the table at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I don't know what would happen if this like was actually a thing. Like, I'm not saying that it isn't, but obviously there's a chance it could be blown out of proportion, but at the same time, like I want to know what would happen to Activision and Blizzard. I mean, granted, Blizzard is, they've been fucking up ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in cases like this, it's guilty and guilty. No, it's sorry. You have to take the side of the victim in these cases. As apprehensive and what's the word? Skeptical? That's not right.
Skeptical. A skeptic?
Skeptical.
Yeah.
Yo, that's not septic. Oh. As skeptical as you can be about it, you have to treat it with care because there are people's livelihoods at stake here. So I think this is a tough position for them to be in, and if all of this is true, they should be in this position, in my opinion.
But moving on to our next news article, longtime Assassin's Creed art director Raphael Lacoste has left Ubisoft to join Haven Studios. Lacoste leaves Ubisoft after 16 years at the company, having worked on 8 Assassin's Creed titles. Lacoste has left Ubisoft to join Haven Studios, whose first game is being financed by Sony, making it a brand spanking new IP for PlayStation. And we love our new IPs coming this generation. I'll say that much.
You love me some new games. We'll get into that later.
Yes,
but what are your thoughts? Oh, I mean, I can read the tweets if you want.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Lacoste tweeted, "Good morning, all. It is not without emotions. I have to tell you that after 8 Assassins, 16 years at Ubisoft, I have decided to set sails on a new adventure and challenges. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart our wonderful community and the incredible talents I've had the chance to collaborate with over these amazing years. Thank you too, Ubisoft, for your trust and the fantastic projects we brought to life together. Bye for now. These years will remain unforgettable." Smiley face.
Always sad to see such a veteran leave a company like that. But Yeah, 16 years at Ubisoft, dude. Holy shit. I'd hope those years would remain unforgettable. Goddamn.
For sure. I feel like if Ubisoft was like somehow salty about his departure, it'd, like reflect badly. Like, just gotta take it on the chin. People always make more life decisions, and I think it's a good opportunity for him to finally work on something, new,
Mm.
you know, and like not to say that working on a new Assassin's Creed game wouldn't be new. It would just be a new adventure for him to take on to like really start something grassroots, or well, I guess the grassroots is not the best term, but absolutely from scratch.
Yeah.
New IP. Not linked to any franchise. This is like its own standalone thing, and I feel like a lot of game designers and directors and whatever really look for that once they start to stagnate in their career.
Yeah. And I have something to say about this because, like, so there has been a recurring theme that development studios who have had their seniors and veterans leave after such a long time usually end up falling by the wayside. Take, for example, BioWare and Blizzard. Their veterans and senior, directors or what have you, have left quite a long time ago, and you can see that, definitely for BioWare's case, that they have fallen by the wayside quite heavily.
Yeah.
And that also stays true for Blizzard as well. Granted, we will see how Diablo 2 and Diablo 4, or Diablo 2 Resurrected and Diablo 4 turn out. There is that. But I'd be curious to see if Ubisoft would experience the same kind of thing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just happens a lot because of the fact that they don't have that huge backing anymore the moment they like break off and kind of become independent. Well, which is not necessarily fully the case for Lacoste, because he's going to a place where it is being funded by Sony, and it is going to a secure place. I think there's more reason for this specific scenario to work out for him, and for his work to be remembered, unlike those other titles and other developers rather, that kind of fall to the wayside.
And moving on to our next news article, we have.
Oh, just zooming through it.
We're just zooming through it right now.
Zooming through it.
We got to get through some of the stuff. We're going to go to a game that I hold close and dear to my heart. A lot of co-op with friends, a lot of couch co-op with friends. Oof. Halo Infinite. So we're gonna go be talking about the flighting and the beta testing. So coming in from Windows Central, the first Halo Infinite technical preview.
I have a question, by the way.
What's that?
What is flighting?
So flighting is essentially just beta testing. Yeah. It's
okay.
Different word.
Just trying to. Yeah, why would they change it?
I don't know. I have no clue. Sounds fancier, I guess. But the first Halo Infinite technical preview, which may land in the hands of players as soon as the end of July 2021. We love to hear it. So here's a list of what players will be allowed to experience during the beta test. So first we have the arena maps. So that's 3 maps. That includes Bazaar, Recharge, and Live Fire. We'll put up the photos of the maps on screen. And so these maps are from the arena game mode and will be introduced in the first Halo Infinite test, letting players explore the environments for themselves. Next, they'll be able to experience gameplay versus bots. Now, this is something brand new to Halo. Halo has never had a bots option. And so I think I'm relatively excited for this, considering that, my old friends, they're not here anymore physically. So it'd be nice to have, or just, play against some players locally when the internet's kind of bugging down and stuff. But anyway, so gameplay versus bots. On the 3 aforementioned maps, meaning Bazaar, Recharge, and Livefire, players will be able to square up against the newly introduced bots, which are positioned as a way for new players to become accustomed to the game through the new Halo Academy. And of course, we'll also have weapon drills, wherein players will be able to use an assortment of Halo Infinite weapons for the first time through the Halo Academy weapon drills. The weapons that will be featured include the MA40AR, BR75, MK50 Sidekick, CQS48 Bulldog, the Needler, the VK78 Commando, the S7 Sniper, Plasma Pistol, Pulse Carbine, Ravager, Heatwave, and of course that crispy Skewer that we saw in the trailer earlier this year. Next, we have the Battle Pass and the menu UI. It's an important aspect of any game, that it being the UI, of course, that the players use to navigate, and 343 Industries is looking for feedback here. Players will be able to test the Halo Infinite menus, customization, and Battle Pass UI. Players will even be given a bit of Halo Infinite currency to help with the testing, although anything that is unlocked will not carry over to the main game. Sad. And of course, players will also be able to test their brand new Halo Waypoint app that they're putting out. And coming from the 343 community manager, if you are looking to be a beta tester for Halo Infinite, and this is for both PC and Xbox, so Kobe, if you want to play with me for the beta,
I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, I guess if I can get in.
Yeah, exactly. If we get in, so the community manager tweeted out. His name is, and I'm probably gonna butcher his name, John.
Try it out.
Junisek. That's all I'm going for. So number one, you will need to be a Halo insider, and there's a link. We will provide the link in the description below. And
so, what does it mean to be a Halo insider, by the way?
So,
you just gotta sign up.
Yeah, you just by becoming a Halo insider, you get to get access to a bunch of insider news, a bunch of insider information that would be like what's it like? Beta versions of new updates and stuff for games, and of course you also get access to yes, flighting. Unfortunately, only beta versions, no sigma or alpha versions here. Unfortunately,
imagine playing an alpha cracked version of Halo.
Yeah, imagine cracking like Halo Infinite, and then it just says like you've unlocked the sigma version. Like hell yeah, this is what I wanted. But anyway, step 2, you got to ensure your email account is verified. If it isn't showing up as green and verified, they can't email you. And number 3, you got to opt in for emails by selecting I would like information, tips, and offers about the Halo franchise. Yes, this means flights. And there are also specific tweets for Xbox and PC players, but once again, we will post the link to those tweets in the description below.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for this.
Well, I'm not necessarily familiar at all with the Halo franchise. Growing up as a Sony, family, we never had an Xbox in the house, so Halo is not, a big part of my life. But I know it is for you.
Oh yeah.
I know it is for you. So if it means that our brotherhood can get closer through a little bit of Halo flighting,
Yes, sir.
as they like to call it,
Yes,
don't know why they can't just call it beta testing, like the rest of the world.
No, I'm pretty sure other people use flighting.
Really? Yeah. I've never heard fucking flighting in my life, dude.
Oh,
anyways, that's besides the point. That's besides the point. I mean, I know we'll try, and if we do get to get into the beta testing, either one of us, be sure to see some content on this channel talking about it, if we're allowed to even show any of it. Maybe, I don't know. But I do really like how they have beta testing like this that's open to the public. I'm a big fan, and I promote that idea that you should get feedback from your player base directly, rather than like keeping it in-house and then like getting some people to come in and then test it, try to break it. Having it just be available for like the general public to an extent, obviously it's like a smaller test group, but I think that's really good. I think more AAA games should look into doing that.
Absolutely. And hey man, I'm super stoked that this multiplayer for this Halo Infinite is going to be free, and I just can't wait, because
oh hell yeah,
previous Halos were a ton of fun, and I'm just happy that other people can experience the same amount of fun that I had when I played Halo 3, Halo Reach, and all those great Halo games. And I can't wait to be playing with the boys. Yeah, I'm super stoked.
Yeah, the boys. And since it's on PC, I can actually play it.
Exactly.
I don't need to buy an Xbox.
It's crossplay. Yeah, so super excited. And personally, maybe this might be a bit of a take, but I think that Halo Infinite might be the next best, or the next biggest FPS game out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if they live up to the hype that they've been garnering. I'm pretty sure people would definitely regard it as one of the best. But that's up to the developers and how polished and how good the game is when it releases. Because the game could be great 2 years after release if they keep updating it, like patching it. But first impressions are really important. You've seen it like with multiple games. Of
course.
And like the first impressions when they first announced it are not that good, from what I heard from you and like the general consensus online. So I'm hoping that it comes out with a killer launch and it meets everybody's expectations. You know, I want to see them succeed. There's a lot of work that's going into this game, and the fact that they're reaching out to the community themselves to ask them what they want. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's really good. It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I agree with you that it's a great thing that they're interacting with the community and really just trying to push out the game as best as they can. And I am 100% happy that they delayed the game the year that because as far as I know, like the community was relatively split on the reveal in 2020. Like there was a part of the community that actually liked and was thoroughly pleased about Halo Infinite reveal, and of course there was that much more negative, or well, maybe not negative, maybe a little bit more critical, possibly a little bit more negative side of the community that
disappointed, I think, was like a general feeling.
Yeah. And I understand both sides completely. I'm glad that they took the year off, and now we're here. People are excited. I'm excited, and I can't wait for it to really just come out later this year, dude. I can't believe it. Okay, I'm getting too excited. Let's move on.
It's okay. It's okay, dude. You know, just take a deep breath. Do some chi breathing.
I gotta align my energy centers, dude.
Your chakras, bro.
Yeah, my chalkboards. Moving on to the next news. Well, actually, not really piece of news. It's really, I want to cover this game called Death's Door. It's a game that came out July 20, 2021, and it has received a lot of praise recently. It is exclusive to...
Were you able to play it, by the way?
What's that?
Were you able to play it?
I have not been able to play it, but I have been watching gameplay, and I love the art style.
Okay.
I love the direction of the game, and I think it's just an absolutely neat package for $20. I think it was... a lot of people are saying that it was a steal for $20. But yeah, so
for $20, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So this game is exclusive to the Xbox platform, so that means Xbox consoles and PC. And
Nice.
the developer team, Acid Nerve, is a two-man team. And of course, they were published by Devolver Digital. But as a two-man team, they have achieved quite a bit to be...
Genuinely so impressive to see a two-man team make something like that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, here, there are a few reviews here from different websites. You got a 9 out of 10 from Game Informer. You got a 9 out of 10 from IGN. You got a 10 out of 10 from Mr. Dustin Chadwell from Gaming Age.
Oh.
Shout out, Dustin.
Shout out, Dustin?
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out.
Shout out, Dustin. And for those of you who don't know what the game is about, just to give you guys a quick rundown, it's about essentially like a crow who works for like the afterlife kind of group of people, and they get souls. But the soul that you were appointed to get was stolen by someone else, and you got to track down that thief. And it's a really interesting game. I think if you get the chance to check it out, I think I'll get it later this year once it goes on sale, maybe for Christmas or whatever.
Damn, a $20 game on sale.
Yeah.
Damn, you cheap,
Hey, man.
bro.
You know, I gotta say where I can say.
cheap.
You know what I'm saying? But
I get that.
exactly.
To an extent.
But yeah. So moving on from Death's Door, we have a bit of old news, but important and relevant news nonetheless. We are going to be talking about handhelds, Switch OLED, and the Steam Deck.
Return of the handhelds.
What's that?
The return of the handhelds.
Return of the handhelds. Yeah, we are going back there. So just to give you guys a brief rundown of both handhelds, we're going to be talking about the Switch OLED, which has a new OLED screen. It has a new dog, bruh.
Ooh, woof woof, dude! Shout out Nintendogs being
dude,
released on the
shout out
Nintendo
Nintendogs.
Switch. OLED only, OLED exclusive.
Bro, Labo cardboard dog, bro. Shout out. Yeah, so it comes with a new dock with an Ethernet port. Starts at 64
Very
gigabytes of
nice.
internal storage versus the 32 for the original Switch. Comes with enhanced
very
audio,
nice.
just better speakers, I guess, as well as a new kickstand. And aside from the Switch OLED, there's the Steam Deck, which is more powerful. It is essentially a PS4 handheld, which is crazy to think about.
It's crazy to think about that.
Absolutely crazy to think about. It also has a dock, but it is sold separately, and it runs on Steam OS. And before recording this video, Kobe, you had some things to say about the whole handheld situation, no?
Yeah, I mean, okay. So everybody's been clamoring for the Switch Pro, and I think that also gave Steam the idea that there is a market for a more powerful handheld device. And the way they've been marketing the Steam Deck all throughout all the interviews and reveals and whatever, the way they want people to view this Steam Deck is as a handheld PC, a portable PC, like a smaller laptop essentially, right? And considering how much more power they're putting into such a small form factor, it's impressive, but I would be remiss to not compare it to the existing console handheld, right? Which is the Switch, which coincidentally also announced their quote unquote upgraded version of the Switch not too recently before the Steam Deck. And all I gotta say about this the OLED, this fucking Switch OLED, like, okay, it's cool. The OLED's like it's cool. Like the new kickstand, that's probably the best part. I'll be honest. The new kickstand's way nicer, but all its upgrades for like the 5,000 pesos, so that's about 100, maybe
50. Wait.
50 US. No, sorry, but yeah, it's like a $50 price tag difference between the original Switch and this Switch, right? But then the Switch OLED rather. So for the $50, is it really worth it? In my opinion, not really. If anything, you're paying that $50 extra for the extra storage, but you can just buy like external storage if you need it. Like, most of the enhancements are to your handheld experience. So if you are not a Switch player that plays handheld that often, which kind of defeats the purpose of getting the Switch if you don't play it handheld often, but I know there are people like me who don't play it handheld as much. I bought the Switch because of the games that were on it, right? That I couldn't play elsewhere. Power of exclusives. There you go. So this OLED for $50 is just not what I'm looking for. I want to be able to run these like, AAA titles when it's not downscaled to oblivion, at like, at a stable frame rate. And the Steam Deck is kind of filling that place in the market. I think it's a really good decision by Steam, and we're getting it this year. At the end of this year is like when it's being released. So it's coming so soon. People are gonna be, really ready to test it because they have a benchmark to compare it to, right? And there's a lot of crossovers in terms of games between the Switch and the Steam Deck, because a lot of the games that populate the stores in both Steam and the Switch Nintendo store are indie games. There's a lot of crossovers, so there's going to be a lot of comparisons between the two, and I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm hopeful for the Steam Deck. I hope that it does well, because who knows, if it does well, if it just becomes this new smash hit, who knows what that's going to do to
the industry as a whole.
So yeah, the industry, like, is Nintendo doing it again, where they innovate a technology in which everyone is just a couple years too late to, and by the time they're releasing their first versions of it, the Nintendo's gonna be releasing like fucking the next revolutionary thing, right? And moving on.
You know what, Kobe? I 100% agree with you on the whole kind of thing about Nintendo. They're exclusives, and they can make whatever fucking console they want. It can be whatever form factor you can think of, and they'll sell it.
They'd sell out. People would buy it.
Yeah.
Fans.
And we can ramble on and on about Nintendo, but the fact of the matter is Nintendo is cracked. They have a following. They've had a following for the longest time, and their games, for the most part, always deliver. And what you said about their crossover between indie games, between the Steam Deck and the Switch OLED, or not the Switch OLED, but Nintendo in general, I 100% agree. I think when it comes to indies, the Steam Deck and the Switch there will be quite a bit of overlap. Of course, the main difference, of course, being the first party games and the AAA games that are being put on both consoles. The Switch has a considerably different set of AAA games and first party games that are being put on it. Granted, there were developers, third-party developers that were putting their games on it. You know, there was the Doom Eternal port, there was the Witcher 3 port, and these are impressive games to port over on the Switch. But I'm sure they're a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so
At the end of the day, they're still ports.
They're still ports.
They aren't like they're not developing it solely for the
Precisely.
Switch unless it's an in-house Nintendo IP.
precisely.
So I think that's what Steam Deck wants to happen to them, right? Because if developers are creating things for the PC, they're also then developing it for the Steam Deck consequently, because it is meant to run exactly like a PC, just in your hand.
Yes. And hey, if you want the best of both worlds, and if you got the money, hey, get both.
Just get both.
Get both. Be a nomad while you're at it. Fucking travel the world and have both Switch OLED and the Steam Deck in your hands, and you'll be happy wherever you fucking go, because you can get access to all the games you need.
Hell yeah, dude. Forearms, Ben 10 forearms.
Oh.
Fucking love a Steam Deck and a Switch OLED.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. But without moving too far from the tracks here, let's move on to our next kind of piece of information here. We're going to be going over some Game Pass and PS Now games of the month. So, yes, we're a little bit late. It's July 25. And, 25 days into the month, the games are already on there. But just in case you didn't know, for Game Pass, there's Battlefield 5 for EA Play, so that's a part of Game Pass Ultimate. There's Chris Tales, a new, I think, kind of classic RPG kind of game. There's Atomic Crops. There's Raji, an ancient epic. Last Stop, Blinks, Crimson Skies, Microsoft Flight Simulator, something I'm looking forward to. Lethal League.
That's going to be
Is it?
Mwah.
Oh, yeah.
Chef's kiss.
Lethal League Blaze. You got Omno, The Ascent, and Project Wingman. And for PS Now, you have
for PS
Neo.
Now,
What's that?
I'll do PS
Go for
Now.
it. Go for it, man.
So for PS Now, before I was so rudely interrupted by my best buddy, we got Neo 2, great game. Judgment, Red Dead Redemption 2, great game. God of War 2018, great game. Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, shout out Coronavirus. Oh, can't say that.
Oh.
NASCAR Heat 5, and yeah, that's the list for PS Now.
And I will say this, Game Pass and PS Now are some of the best services that you can avail of on consoles and even on PC. PS Now is available on PC. Guys, listen, the value you get out of Game Pass and PS Now, for that matter, is incredible. PS Now, yes, they were a little late to the party, but they're here nonetheless. They're here. So
They're here now. They released God of War, Red Dead Redemption, Neo 2. These are all like Game of the Year contenders from when they were released.
And there's a ton of other games on PS Now. Not just these games that we listed.
Exactly.
There's so many others. You guys really should check it out. And of course, if you haven't given Game Pass a look, give that a look as well. I'm super excited for which one was it?
I'm stoked.
Microsoft Flight Sim and The Ascent. I'm super excited for those two titles.
Yeah.
Oh man. Moving on,
All right.
we have two EA stories kind of coming in from EA Play. Their or not EA Play, EA. What was their thing, like their E3? Whatever.
I have no idea.
The EA event that happened recently. So first, we're going to be starting with the Dead Space remake. Personally, I am not a huge Dead Space fan. I am not a huge fan of
Me neither.
horror games in general. But it is not a secret that the people who have played Dead Space absolutely love the game. Dead Space has built a cult following 100%. I remember one of my classmates, I would have never have taken him as the person to play Dead Space, but he played Dead Space and he loved it. He absolutely loved Dead Space. And yeah, so coming, here's a bit of a thing from the original Dead Space co-creator, Glenn A. Schofield. He says that he is excited by the remake. And Motive, EA Motive, the studio working on the new Dead Space remake, replied in kind, crediting Schofield and, one must assume, Redwood Shores, who were the original studio behind the original Dead Space, for paving the way. And this, of course, is coming in from PC Gamer. What are your thoughts on the Dead Space remake?
Well, I'm similar to you. I'm not that big of a fan of horror, but I have heard of the franchise, and I do dip my toes into space-related games. So I would be willing to try it for sure. Remakes nowadays have been getting a lot better. They've I feel like when remakes, when people were starting to do remakes, I think there's a lot of goodwill for games that get remakes. And ever since Square Enix have been pumping out remakes of their older titles, like, I think people have just wanted to get into it. Just why, because there's a lot. I mean, there's work that needs to be done, but in terms of like the writing of the story and stuff like that, it's kind of an easier journey when it comes to creating a remake, because it is you already have the fan base there for the game. It's just now making it up to date. That's what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's what they did with the Resident Evil remakes, so, and those were really well received. So
if I'm not mistaken, this is actually more than a remake. This might be a whole reboot of the franchise.
Oh, okay.
So there is that.
Then in that case, there's more pressure on them to live up to their their fan base. True. I think that's always a problem when it comes with announcing things, is like, how you gotta ride that line of fan expectation to get them to be excited for them to buy the game when it releases, but not so excited that they have these wild expectations. Then when they buy the game, it's like disappointing, and then they'll trash it because they're expecting like the world. Yeah. Essentially.
Cyberpunk, shout out.
Shout out. That's like prime one example right there. Yeah. Before we get into Skate though, let's dip our toes into a little bit of Genshin, because there is quite a big amount of like news coming out of Genshin that doesn't necessarily relate directly to like the story or leaks or anything. So Genshin themselves announced that PlayStation players are going to be getting Aloy from the Horizon series as a free 5-star coming into patch 2.2 for free. PC players, don't worry, you're not gonna get cucked. PC players will get Aloy too. They'll just get her a patch after, in patch 2.3. And fortunately for me, I was able to link my PS account with my PC account, so they're linked, so I can get Aloy and hopefully get some good content come out showcasing her when she comes out. But for me, the biggest part about that is, what I'm speculating about it is, Aloy going to be introduced into the game through like a story reason, or is it just going to be like an Easter egg type of deal, like we just partnered with PlayStation to get one of their IPs to be in our game, just to show how strong our collaboration between PlayStation and Genshin Impact is. So regarding that, if it's the former and they do include story ways, because the other gacha games have done this with their collaborations, like main example for me is like Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross. They had a King of Fighters collaboration, they had a Stranger Things collaboration, which was the wildest collaboration. It's an anime collabing with an American TV series. Yeah. Putting in Millie Bobby Brown in a fucking animated form inside my fucking phone game. It was wild. It was polarizing, but it was definitely exciting to see. And the way they incorporated that is that they made a story quest directly addressing how they got into the game. So I'm curious to see if they take that similar route, where they take a story quest and they explain how Aloy ends up in the world that we're in, know? And if that's the case, that would open the door, the floodgates for, any type of collaboration with Genshin Impact, right? Mm-hmm. With other game. It could be the new Smash. No, I doubt that. But
imagine.
So having Aloy in the game is going to be super exciting, not only for the fact that we're getting a free 5-star, but the fact that it opens a lot of doors. Opens a lot of questions as to how they're going to be moving forward with collaborations. Because if they are open to collaborations, we could see a lot of different IPs in Genshin, because Genshin is surprisingly a huge game, in my opinion. Because I've been so part of the bubble, I've never thought, oh, this game's big, people know about it. I just think because I'm part of it, it's kind of blinding to me. But apparently it's a pretty big game, as I hear from Benjo. Even though,
You hear from me, fair enough.
Yeah, and Benjo's a pretty big name, Yeah. He's pretty famous. Some pretty famous people. So, yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, and yeah, and just keep up with split screen. We're gonna be given some Genshin content, especially from me. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Yeah, man, I'm
Right.
excited. I'm excited for you. It's a lot of
Yeah.
Genshin stuff there, and
There's so much Genshin shit
so
happening.
much Genshin
So.
stuff happening. Yeah, like every time I hear Kobe talk about Genshin, it's a whole. It's not a can of worms. It's more like
Kind of
no,
beans.
it's more like there's a crack in the dam, and when you just hit it, give it a slight little tap, the dam breaks and the water is let loose. There's a lot of Kobe loves Genshin, and I'm excited for him.
I
And,
fucking love
I hope,
Genshin. Yeah.
I hope he gets the kind of story thing that he wants with Aloy and
Yeah, it's exciting. You can have a lot of crossover.
absolutely.
So.
There's a lot of potential in that. And I agree with you there. But yeah, going on to our last story, and then we're gonna have a bit of a discussion segment after this. Our last story is the new Skate game, which EA had teased with a teaser trailer, a mocap teaser trailer to be exact. The link will be in the description for the YouTube video, but for those that are watching right now, the YouTube video description reads, "You're stoked, we're stoked, but it's still early." Watch the moment we shared a glimpse of the future of skate with some of our biggest fans. Their biggest fans, of course, being some of the influencers out there. And there was maybe a skater person there in the in the video. I'm not entirely.
Yeah,
I'm not
there
entirely
were
sure.
a couple.
What's that?
But there were a couple skaters.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I loved Skate 3. That game,
Dude,
yeah.
Same.
Yeah, dude, it was such a good time. It was to the point where, look, it's a single player game, but I had like 4 or 5 friends come over just to play Skate 3, and every time we bailed out on a trick,
It was just the fucking Hall of Meat, bro.
Exactly.
It was always just the Hall of
It
Meat.
was such a fun time. Every time we bailed out on a trick, we would switch over, and it was just such a good time, And I'm curious, what were your experiences with Skate 3?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. I would play with my brother, and I know I played a lot alone, trying to get high scores on the Hall of Meat. Like, I kind of fucked off with the story for like the longest time because it was all about just, that one big way ramp,
Yes, yeah.
and you just go down. I would fucking my go-to,
Yes.
fucking go down the ramp, and then I do the coffin move. Because it was like the easiest for me as a kid to press, because it was just like 2 buttons. You pressed it down and you just slid in a coffin, and then I'd launch my guy
Yeah.
fucking as hard as I can off the ramp and see where he landed. That's most of my game. I barely actually did any skateboarding in Skate 3. I was mostly just bailing out of tricks and hurting the guy.
Yeah, exactly, but it was for the Hall of Meat, bro.
Ragdoll physics was great, dude.
Exactly. You're a bit of a
It was an
you're a bit of a
entertaining
skater boy
game.
yourself, no?
Oh, well, no, don't flash up an image
I'm not. I don't
now.
have
Ooh.
any images of you.
But yeah, I mean, let's say I
You
dabbled,
dabbled, boys. You dabbled.
in the culture,
So that finishes up Split Screen Weekly. We hope you enjoyed. Of course, the ton of news this week. There's going to be more news next week, of course, and hope you enjoyed.